Before we start the show, just a word from our sponsor, Undeniable Press. For all your screen printing needs, located in the Corktown district of Detroit, Michigan. If you ever need any t-shirts or any other little promo accessories, posters, or whatnot printed up for you, go to Undeniable Press. They're located, once again, in the Corktown district of Detroit, Michigan, and you can reach them at facebook.com/undeniablepressdetroit. And those same guys who do Undeniable Press also have a clothing line called 20 by 20 Apparel. It's very much wrestling themed, all sorts of nostalgic themes in regards to the history of wrestling. And you can go check out their clothing line at 20x20apparel.com. That's the number 20x, the number 20apparel.com. Now let's start the show.
Fresh is the word.
I'm Jim Duggan, got long wood for plenty hoes. I keep it fresher than fresh, but you already know. You suckers bummy, I'm money, I got a ton of flows. My weed loud like a motherfucking thunder roll. Your shit quiet like you ballin' on a budget though. We see your kicks and we laugh and yellin' what are those. You see me shining like a suit on puffy. You know my grindin' shit is too strong, buddy. That's why the dude call money. I be stuntin' like it's nothing at all. Cause it's nothing to me, it's probably something to y'all. Trying to smoke like me, then come and fuck with your dog. Got a closet full of kicks, you can't cop it them all. And I'm fresher than the freshest, you can tell it's in my essence. Bitch, you see the way I'm rapping, yes I do this shit to death. Until I'm running out of breath, or tell somebody cut a check. But either way you know it's fresh, and either way you know it's fresh. Fresh, we fresh. Fresh, goddammit, we fresh.
Welcome to the first edition of the Beats and Body Slams edition of Fresh is the Word. I am your host, K Fresh. These are the editions of Fresh is the Word that are solely focused on pro wrestling outside the main roster of the WWE. That could be NXT, the Indies, New Japan Pro Wrestling, any other sort of wrestling in Japan, any sort of wrestling in the States, any sort of wrestling in the UK, just pretty much any wrestling that I want to talk about outside the main roster in the WWE. Me and V Styles do that on the other episodes. We talk about that at length. But I haven't been able to talk about any of the indie stuff or the New Japan stuff, or even just get wrestlers on the podcast to interview about their thing. But guess what? That has changed. I have a wrestler on this podcast this week. And he's a wrestler, and he also does music too. DJ Z, or some people know him as Zema Ion. He's currently in Impact Wrestling, and you know him from the indie circuits also. He was gracious enough to spend some time and talk with me for the podcast, and we have a dope interview lined up for this podcast, for this first Beats and Body Slams edition of the podcast. In addition to the DJ Z interview, I'm also going to have, just like the other podcast, a discussion portion. And joining me for this time around, and probably joining me on a regular basis, will be Detroit hip-hop artist and 1/4 of the hip-hop group Clear Soul Forces, the Noveliss. He was a guest of mine way back in episode, I forget what episode, I'd have to actually look it up. But he was on the podcast before, and we talked a lot about, New Japan and stuff. So I just got him on the show. We talked about the best of the Super Juniors in New Japan, the Kushida versus Ospreay match, and then we sort of we previewed the upcoming New Japan Dominion event coming up on June 11th. Before we get into the DJ Z interview, I'd like to just remind you how you can support the podcast. You can always go freshasthepodcast.com and just share any links from the website on any of your social media. You can also click on the link that says support the podcast, and there's a PayPal link that you can donate to. There's also a Amazon link on the page that if you buy anything on Amazon, go ahead and use that link, and it'll shoot us back a little bit of commission. Doesn't change anything on your end. Also, you can follow Fresh is the Word on Instagram and Twitter at Fresh is the Word 1. That's Fresh is the Word, then the number 1. And then on Facebook, you can go to facebook.com/fresh is the podcast, and give us a like on there. And also, there's a slew of places now that you can subscribe to Fresh is the Word. iTunes, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, Google Play, just Stitcher. Just type in Fresh is the Word, and the podcast will come up. You can subscribe to it. You can rate us. You can leave a comment. Do any of that. That would be greatly appreciated. Definitely would help out the podcast. So, with all that said, let's get to the interview with DJ Z. Okay, we're here with DJ Z, pro wrestler, and also he's a musician, DJ, producer. But before we get into like because you did send me a track that you did about a year ago that has Conway, who just got signed with Shady Records along with West Side Gun and the whole Griselda crew. Before we get into that though, definitely want to talk about like the elephant in the room, man. You got injured recently, man. How are you doing, man? You looks like you back in the beginning of April in Mexico City, you got injured doing a 450 splash. Looks like you had a fractured colon, which led to internal bleeding, man. How you doing?
Yeah, so you heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm healing up. It was a pretty serious injury. It's a crazy story, to be honest with you. The whole story is just insane, and I haven't really made it public.
Right.
So kind of like kept quiet about it. But there's so much of the story that would surprise you and a lot of other people, listeners, anyone in general. But yeah, long story short, I'll try to shorten it as much as I can.
Dude,
but,
take your time.
Yeah, I can be a little long-winded at times. So,
oh, no problem.
Please
You
forgive
got
me
time.
in advance. But long story short, I was on the receiving end of a 450 splash. Pretty serious impact on my stomach, caused me to bleed internally. Went to the hospital, and they told me that, I had ruptured my colon, which was causing the internal bleeding.
Jeez.
And it was a serious situation, so they needed to cut open my abdomen, clean out the bleeding, and then I was told they were going to remove the section of my colon that was ruptured and then resection it back together.
Ugh.
They told me, 80% chance they could do that, but 20% chance that they weren't going to be able to do it, and I was going to be stuck rocking a colonoscopy bag for the rest of my life.
Jesus Christ, man.
So, yeah, I was thinking, oh, great, this could possibly be the end of my wrestling career. But luckily, that surgery went well. That was 8 weeks ago, actually, that I had the surgery. But I ended up getting a CT scan here in Chicago, where I live, about 2 weeks ago. And the crazy thing was I got the CT scan. It's the follow-up here in the United States.
Yeah.
I kind of trust the doctors here more than the ones in Mexico, maybe, especially after what I'm about to tell you.
Right.
But I got a follow-up CT scan here in the United States, and they do the scan, come back with the results, and they tell me, we don't know what they did to you in Mexico, but our scan shows absolutely no evidence of any kind of resection on your colon.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I'm like, wait, what? Like, trying to wrap my head around this, trying to make sense of it. And they're telling me, like, if your colon really was resectioned, we would see staples. There's no staples. Like, actually, your colon looks good. And they're telling me what we think happened to you, they might have opened you up, cleaned that internal bleeding, but we're thinking they must have lied to you about the whole colon resection so they could squeeze more money out of you.
What then?
Can you believe that?
Then what happened then? What did you actually injure?
I don't know. Like, I mean, there was internal bleeding for sure.
Right.
They cleaned that. I lost 2 liters of blood, like half the blood in my body. And I don't know. Like, I really don't know the true story, what's going on here. Like, I've got the x-rays from Mexico. I've got the disc with the CT scan results that I just had in Chicago. I'm going to go to see one more doctor on June 15th to try to get some real answers about this. But I'm still, like, kind of shook over the whole situation. I'm kind of in shock. Like, relieved and pissed off at the same time. Like, relieved because if they didn't resection my colon, then I should be good to get back in the ring like real soon. But I'm pissed off because like they just slicked me to get more money. Like, lied. Like, what kind of hospital? You don't want to believe that like a hospital and a doctor would do something like this. You don't want to believe that, you know. But apparently that could be the situation I'm looking at right now. So yeah, it's a crazy story.
Oh, shit. But are you feeling good these days?
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm back in the gym, just doing light work, nothing too crazy yet, but back in the gym, slowly feeling more and more like myself every day. I've been going to wrestling practice, running the ropes, doing a little bit of rolls just to like see how I'm feeling. I'm actually going to attempt to do a wrestling match next week in Pittsburgh against Adam Cole. So we'll see how that goes. Like, I really shouldn't be in the ring doing that match at all. Like, not until I get some answers from that doctor.
Right.
Which, unfortunately, that doctor's appointment is after the match instead of before it. So that's kind of funny. But I cut a promo like a week after the surgery. It's on YouTube. And I told the wrestling world I'm going to walk back into a wrestling ring in 8 weeks. And, yeah, I'm going to be a man of my word and stick to that, right or wrong. Like, I'm walking back into that ring in 8 weeks. And I'm going to see how it goes and show everybody that I'm going to no-sell the injury.
Right. What event did you get injured at?
It was the Crash. That's a promotion that Conan is like got a big part in down in Mexico.
Okay.
It was their debut event in Mexico City, so it was like kind of a big show to be a part of for sure. I was really excited about the opportunity. Just unfortunate what happened, but I think going forward, once I heal up from this, I'm going to be a regular part of the Crash's events. So Mexico has not seen the last of me.
Oh, definitely. What were your thoughts like when this incident happened? You know, what was going through your mind when you're on the ground there?
Man, it was pretty terrifying. Like, I knew something was wrong, like, immediately. Like, when I took the 450, it felt like I got the wind knocked out of me. And after the match, I go back to the locker room, and I just laid on the floor, and I couldn't get up. Like, I'm just thinking, I must have broke a rib or something. But I knew something was wrong. And, like, the part that sucks is nobody even, like, checked on me for about an hour. Like, I just laid on the floor, and nobody asked me if I was okay, if something was wrong. Like, I just laid there in pain, turning pale, apparently. Like, when finally my boy Ricky Marvin saw me laying there about an hour later and goes, "Yo, man, are you okay? You're white as a ghost." And I had to just be real. And, like, usually I try to, like, act like everything's cool, but I know my body, and I knew something was, like, seriously wrong. So I told him, like, "Bro, I'm not good. Like, I need help." And he's the one that called the paramedics over, and they put me in the ambulance and sent me to the hospital. But, I mean, there's so much more to that story. But, yeah, thank God I got to the hospital in time, because if I would have just tried to be a tough guy and not go, I would have bled to death, and you wouldn't be talking to me right now. Right,
man. Glad you're still with us, man. Yeah, I saw the video that you were taking on the way to the hospital. Yeah. I saw you had a Pistons jersey. I'm here in Detroit, man. So I was like, hey, there's a Pistons jersey. So yeah, but once you were once you got out of surgery, you know, how were you feeling just after surgery? But whatever they did to you.
Well, dude, the first few days, I was in the hospital for 5 days. The first couple of days were rough, man. Like, I could not eat. Well, I shouldn't say I could not. I was not allowed to eat or drink for the first 3 days. So I just sat in this hospital bed, starving, bro. Like, unable to eat for 3 days. Couldn't even drink water. Just chilling, bro. Couldn't even really, like, get up and walk. I got up and walked, like, 24 hours after the surgery just to, like, prove that I could. Yeah. I got a video of that I had uploaded onto my Instagram and Twitter and all that. But that was just me being defiant and, like, showing that, hey, man, like, I'm going to walk, like, just to show you guys, like, it's going to take a lot more than some internal bleeding to keep me down. But, yeah, like, it was a rough first few days, man. I think on the 4th day in the hospital, I was finally allowed to eat Jell-O, and the 5th day, I was able to like drink water and eat a little bit more. It was rough though. When I got out of the hospital, I tried to just no-sell the injury and like go about life like normal. Like, I'm trying to go walk around Mexico City and like do things as if I wasn't hurt. But that was a terrible idea because I was like fainting in the streets and I didn't know what was wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm over here trying to like go sightseeing and stuff like that, and I'm fainting in the street, and I ended up going back to the doctor just to see like, hey, is there something like wrong? Because I've been fainting legit. And he goes, well, you did lose 2 liters of blood. So gonna take some time for that to all build back up, man. Oh, it was terrible too. I forgot. I just remembered this too. Like my hands, you know that like tingly feeling when your like hand, the foot falls asleep?
Yes.
I had that feeling in my hands 24/7 for about 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh.
But that's also because of the blood that, you know, I had lost. So I thought something was really wrong because I'm fainting and my hands are numb. And I'm like, dude, like, this ain't right. But apparently that's just because of all the blood that I lost. Now we're good. I got feeling in my hands. I'm not fainting. Like, we're out here.
Right. So, like you said before, you're going to try to make your return on June 10th. ICW in Pennsylvania. They're Super Indy 16. Your first fight's going to be against Adam Cole. Man, are you excited to get back in the ring?
No. I'm actually like pretty nervous, terrified. I shouldn't be doing it. Like, I'm probably putting myself at some serious risk here, but I think I can handle it. Like, I consider myself a true professional wrestler in every sense of the word. And to me, like, if I'm really a professional, I should be able to go in there and have a match with Adam Cole and protect myself and walk out of there in one piece. You know, I just got to wrestle smart.
Right.
So I'm going to try my best. In a way, it's me just kind of like testing myself and looking at it as a challenge. Like, okay, we know I probably shouldn't be wrestling right now. Like, we know I might not even be 100%, but let's just see if we're really that good that we can go in there, have a competitive match while working around the situation. So we'll see how it goes.
Definitely. Are you still currently with Impact Wrestling?
Yeah, I'm still under contract with Impact Wrestling. Unfortunately, the injury happened a week before we were taping TV in Orlando, so I wasn't able to go down there, obviously, and they just went to India. I'm hoping July, when they do more tapings in Orlando, that I will be back by then, 100%. Say a prayer for me. So, yeah, I'll be back on Impact eventually.
Definitely. You've, for the past 5 or 6 years, you've been one of the guys who've been sort of in the center of that X division in Impact. And, there's always things that are said about Impact Wrestling, but what's your thoughts about your time at Impact, especially right now when they're with the new management? They're giving a lot of opportunities to those X Division type talent that have been on the indies recently. So you're seeing a lot of new faces coming into the company right now. But what's been your your perspective on your time at Impact Wrestling?
I mean, it's been a great experience for me personally. Impact Wrestling took a chance on me when I was 24 years old, and if we're gonna be real, like, I don't think I was really that good of a wrestler until a couple of years ago. So they took a chance on me when I was like real green and still learning the business. And instead of looking at me as like, dude, this guy ain't ready, like, they kind of let me work out the kinks and become a better wrestler there. You know what I'm saying? Like, through house shows, through pay-per-views, through every opportunity that I got early in my career with them, it's helped me become a better wrestler and the wrestler that I am today. You know what I'm saying? And I've never had a real job. I've never had a 9-to-5. I've only wrestled for Impact Wrestling. That's been my living for the last 6-7 years now. So despite the ups and downs, the roller coaster ride that company's on sometimes, like, I really can't say nothing bad because they're letting me live my dreams. You know what I'm saying?
Great. When did you first make the decision that you wanted to become a wrestler?
Man, I had a couple of different runs with professional wrestling growing up as a fan. Like, I liked it when I was a kid, real young, you know what I'm saying? And then as I got a little bit older, I kind of fell out of love with it. I got into school, and for a minute, wrestling wasn't the cool thing anymore. And I got more interested in basketball, hip hop, like different things like that. And wrestling kind of took a back seat. But when that Attitude Era came around, I started watching again. But you know what's funny is I didn't start watching it because of the actual wrestling. I got back into wrestling because of the girls, man. because of the divas. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I would be in school, and kids in my school are telling me about Sable and Deborah. Like, dude, she's gonna show her puppies. Like, any week now, it's gonna happen. And that's what got me back into wrestling. I'm like, yo, man, like, I'm at an age where I'm about to hit puberty. Like, this is what I want to see. Like, I want to see Deborah's puppies. I want to, like, go on the internet and find those Sable Playboy pictures. Like, that's what I was all about.
Right.
And that's what got me back into wrestling. But as my thirst to see boobs grew by the week, I'm tuning in, waiting and waiting and waiting. I actually started to appreciate the wrestling side of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was watching wrestling so much, just trying to see some tits, that I ended up, like, actually getting interested in the storylines of the characters and the athleticism.
Right.
So then it became like, oh, well, now I'm watching Raw, and now I'm watching Nitro too, and I'm seeing cruiserweights and seeing what they're doing, and I'm just becoming like a fan all over again. And when I got the internet around age 13, game over, bro. When I got the internet and I was able to get on there and discover Japanese wrestling and Mexican wrestling, buy tapes,
right,
man, it was a whole different ball game, and everything changed for me. Like, I just became this, like, super, like, wrestling nerd, trading tapes with people all over the country and just spending all my free time watching wrestling tapes alone in my bedroom.
Who's your favorite diva?
Like, Trish Stratus is always going to be bae for me. Like,
yeah.
I remember, dude, when I had the internet when I was a kid, I don't know why, I just assumed that, like, every celebrity chick had posed nude. So I would spend hours, bro, on my computer. I'm looking up Mariah Carey nude pictures. I'm looking up Aaliyah nude pictures. I'm trying to see Trish Stratus nude pictures. I just assumed every chick had posed nude, and gave my computer so many viruses, going to all these shady websites that were, like, making me think that they had some pictures, but
right.
It's probably just photoshopped or non-existent. But yeah, dude, my thirst was very serious for Trish Stratus when I was a kid, so she's always going to be number one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're not the only one during that time.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But, I mean, to be real, like, I thought they were all hot. Like, it wasn't just Trish. Like, I mean, Deborah, like, I had a thing for Deborah. I think it was, like, the whole, like, businesswoman outfit with the mad cleavage exposed. Like, something
right.
about her and that southern accent I thought was cute. So, like, had a thing for her. Stacy Keibler. Dude, you know, like, the same ones that we all liked.
You mentioned, once you got the internet, you're able to, get exposed to more wrestling. What was some of your favorite, wrestling companies or matches or wrestlers that you were able to discover during that time?
Man, you know what's weird is, like, I never really had favorite wrestlers growing up.
Right.
I think I was just kind of into wrestling, like the athleticism. I just liked seeing the athletes and the cool things that they were pulling off, like there wasn't one guy that ever, like, jumped out at me and I was like, that's my favorite wrestler. But when I started following Japanese wrestling, Mexican wrestling, the independent scene, CZW was actually, like, a pretty, like, influential company for me as a child, like, or as a teenager rather. The shit they were doing in 2001, like Amazing Red and the SATs, the Briscoes when they were, like, 19, 20 years old, however old they were.
Yeah. Like
Trent Acid, like, these guys, like, they were influences on me. Pretty much the whole, like, East Coast independent scene, like, around 2001, 2002, early Ring of Honor, all that stuff. Like, that's what was going on when I was a teenager, and that's the stuff I was interested in. And I really just wanted to be like those guys. I grew up watching the independents, and I was like, yo, this is what I want to do. I want to be an independent wrestler. I want to travel the world, you know what I'm saying? Just like these guys are, doing innovative moves and having 5-star matches. Like that's what I wanted, man. So yeah, I would say CCW was a big influence early on. I was really into like Japanese junior heavyweight wrestling, like Toryumon, which was I guess the company before it became Dragon Gate.
Okay.
So Toryumon was a big influence. There was actually a promotion, a very short-lived promotion called T2P, which was like all like crazy chain wrestling, like way before anybody was like doing it. That company was like a very big influence on me too. And yeah, dude, it was just like mind blowing. You go back and watch the T2P stuff. I'm sure there's a little bit on YouTube, but like just still, it holds up today. Just lightning fast chain wrestling, out of this world submissions. And what's the craziest thing about that is T2P was so influential on me. And the guy, the luchador that trained all of those T2P kids, this dude named Skyday, like a Mexican luchador who's just a wizard on the mat. He's the guy that trained literally the entire roster. Like, what's so crazy, like 14, 15-year-old me would be so proud. Today, like, I'm training with Skyday. Like, he's my coach in Chicago.
Oh, nice.
I think like the teenage Michael Paris would be really proud to know that we got to train. So yeah, those are some influences for sure.
Right. How are you able to break into business?
Dude, I know it's another weird story, man. I'm full of them, but so fun fact, I designed the original Ring of Honor logo.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so when I was 15 years old, and designing that logo got me some free wrestling tapes, and it also got me free tickets to any Ring of Honor show that I ever wanted to go to. I only took advantage of that a couple of times, but one of those times was the first Ring of Honor show in Pittsburgh. 2003, it was called Revenge of the Prophecy. I went to the show, stuck around after the show to mark out and meet some wrestlers, and I met CM Punk and Colt Cabana, and these are dudes that I watched on a lot of independent tapes, and I talked to them for a minute, and I asked them, or like, what do I got to do? Like, what do you suggest? And they were like, where are you from? I'm like, right here, Pittsburgh. And they're like, well, here, come meet this guy. They introduced me to a promoter named Norm Connors, who ran the International Wrestling Cartel in Pittsburgh. This man had a hot independent promotion in the area, and he had a wrestling school. So he gave me all the info, and a few months later, I was joining that wrestling school, and the rest is history, man. So IWC, where I'm wrestling on June 10th, actually.
Awesome.
Still going strong today.
Awesome. During during your whole career as a pro wrestler, do you have a favorite match or a couple favorite matches that you've been involved in that kind of stick out in your mind?
Man, like, there's been so many. Like, I'll say matches that I'm like proud of. Like, I'm proud of my match with Rob Van Dam at Bound for Glory 2012. Just because, like, I don't know if like TNA at the time really saw much value in me, and that was a situation where they put me in there with a big name, Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
And I'm starting the show. Like, we're setting the tone for the evening, and it was a big crowd in Phoenix, Arizona. And I had never wrestled Rob Van Dam in my life, and I just looked at this as a big opportunity, and I went in there, and yeah, dude, we tore the house down. And probably the biggest compliment that I could have ever received was after that match, Rob Van Dam came up to me and said, man, that felt like we'd done that 1,000 times before. So that meant the world to me, because the first time literally we had ever locked up in a wrestling ring. So for him to tell me it felt like we did it 1,000 times, that was a huge like endorsement and pat on the back. And I felt like it kind of like proved to TNA at the time, like, this guy's got a lot more to offer than just hairspray. Like, he can go. And I feel like I'm still trying to prove that to this day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I've got more to offer than just flips. You know what I'm saying? Flips, hairspray, DJ air horns, like whatever the job may be in a professional wrestling setting, I'm confident that I can handle it. So that match is special to me. Some matches I've had in the last year mean a lot to me. Me and Trevor Lee at Bound for Glory 2016, that match like holds a special place in my heart. Similar situation where we were the first match on the show. they actually announced the match like last minute, like the day before the show.
Okay.
So it was kind of like a throwaway match. Like they hadn't been building it on TV. It was like, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna have an X Division title match, Trevor Lee and DJ Z, and they actually gave us time. Like you watch Impact and a lot of the matches, X Division matches rather, they're only getting like 5-6 minutes. I think they gave me and Trevor Lee like 15 minutes or something like that.
Nice.
So we were really able to put together like a nice little story and have a nice back and forth match. And there's a lot of controversy surrounding that pay-per-view. That was, I think, around the time when like people were saying TNA was going to go out of business and like the pay-per-view was going to get canceled. There's a lot of discussion about Bound for Glory was about to be canceled because they couldn't get the money or whatever. Like, I don't know the whole situation, but people weren't talking about the matches necessarily. They were talking about the backstage controversy.
Right.
And they kind of put some pressure on me and Trevor Lee to make people forget about all the controversy. Like, guys, just go out there and have a killer match. Do whatever you want to do. Just make these people forget about the BS and make them focus on the wrestling. And I felt like they picked the right guys for the job.
Yeah, Trevor Lee is a hell of a worker.
Hell yeah, man. Dude, he's the future of wrestling, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely, definitely. You were born in Manila in the Philippines, correct?
Oh, not like for real.
Oh, not for real? Okay.
my background, like my heritage is Filipino on my mom's side. But I was not born in the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
And I've actually never been there. Maybe one day though, I hope.
Okay, so you're from Chicago?
That's where I live now. Yeah, I'm originally from like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, one of the one of the other things about you that and I mentioned it at the opening of this interview was that DJ Z isn't just a wrestling gimmick. You actually are a DJ and a music artist.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I do now more for fun. It's not like I'm trying to be a world famous DJ or multi-platinum producer. Like, I'm not really trying to do that. It's more so something that I just do for fun, like on the side.
Right.
But yeah, man, I do have a legitimate background in both.
Definitely. Yeah. When did you first get into being a musician?
Man, dude, it was always like a dream. But I mean, are you a musician as well?
Oh yeah, I'm a DJ. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna understand totally what I'm talking about. Like, it ain't cheap, bro. Like,
right.
To be a DJ, to be a producer, to be a musician in general, it's a very expensive hobby to have.
Right.
And as a kid, like, I remember emailing DJs. It was always like a dream. Like, I remember being 12, 13 years old and emailing DJs and asking them, like, what do I need to do to get started? And at the time, they probably told me, you're going to need some Techniques 1200s. You're going to need a Vestex mixer. Like, I remember, like, reading those emails and then looking up how much those things cost. And when you're a 13-year-old kid,
yeah,
you see the price of all that stuff. Like, I pretty much just put that dream on the back burner when I saw how much it all costs. Cause, like,
yikes, you're
I
right.
come from a poor family, like, single mother. Like, ain't no way she's going to be able to afford that equipment for me at the time. And even if she did, like, as a kid, I didn't grow up in like the inner city. I wasn't around other DJs. It's like I would have had to teach myself everything. So it was a long time coming, man. Like, I always wanted to learn how to DJ, but I was just never in a situation where I could have learned how to do it. And same with producing. Like, I remember downloading like bootleg versions of like Fruity Loops when
right.
I was a teenager and just looking at that like program and just being overwhelmed because I had no idea
exactly.
like, how to use it or even how to start using it. At the time there was not YouTube. There was no tutorials. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so it was just like always a dream, but just one that I never really thought was going to be attainable for me. And I focused on wrestling instead, you know what I'm saying? But, as technology has caught up with us here, it's a lot easier these days to learn how to DJ, learn how to produce music, make your own beats. Like, it's become a lot easier. And I would say around 2012 is when I was finally in a situation financially where I could make this dream a reality. You know what I'm saying? So as fate would have it, I lived in Washington, D.C. at the time, and I remember like Googling like DJ lessons. I was like, I don't know anybody. Like the only DJ that I knew at the time was a friend of mine in college who ran this party in New York City called Basement Saturdays at Webster Hall.
Yeah.
His name is DJ Subset. Now he's out in Seattle doing like a new party, but like he's become very successful in like bass music, dubstep, and that kind of scene.
Okay.
But he was the only DJ that I knew. So I hit him up and I was like, listen, man, like I want to make this happen. What do I got to do? And he told me that he went to a DJ school in New York City, and that's how he learned. And I was like, okay. So I looked up DJ school, Washington, D.C. As fate would have it, this DJ school in Washington, D.C. just happened to be 10 minutes down the road from where I lived. And the guys running the class were like DMC world champions, like DJ ID. There's another guy named DJ Trays who is like a Red Bull freestyle champion. Like, so some pretty like top guys to learn the art form from, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just looked at that as like, listen, man, like if I ever wanted to learn how to do this, like this is the time. These are the right guys to learn from. So I just jumped into school and started learning the basics, the fundamentals, controlling records, scratching, mixing, obviously. So I learned these fundamentals from them, and you know, just kind of took the ball and ran with it. Started doing some gigs here and there in D.C. area, and then eventually I moved to Chicago and made it a more serious thing and started learning how to produce music as well. And I think that's where I found like my true calling, my real passion. Like DJing was fun. I enjoyed it, but like to me, like producing music, making my own beats, like that's the real passion that I got.
Definitely. Yeah. I came up in the DJ culture here in Detroit in like the early to mid 2000s when I started. And back then that was before any like, tutorials. It was still, you know, most everybody was still DJing with vinyl. There wasn't no Final Scratch or Serato. So like you had to learn everything by yourself basically. You know, people could show you things, but you're still like doing everything yourself and got to just sit there and like practice and figure out your mistakes by yourself, man. So yeah, it did take a lot, you know, like 10 plus years ago to really even get that first, that first comfort level in DJing.
Yeah. So it's got to be bittersweet for you to see that, like, you can now, today, present day, you can just, like, watch a YouTube tutorial or go to a DJ school and you can learn a baby scratch in a day as opposed to how long it probably took you, 10, 12 years ago.
Right,
so
man. Back then, you'd be like...
bittersweet in a way, but
right.
like, to me, if there's any, like, old heads that, like, hate on that, my, like, thing to them is, like, I think you would have taken advantage of it too if the opportunity was available back then. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
it's just like
definitely.
It's all timing, but yeah. I mean, being in Detroit too, man, you got a whole scene out there, like Detroit techno, man. Like, there's history, there's roots in Detroit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure you had DJs that you could have learned from, and some guys that could have mentored you, influenced you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish I had that growing up, man, but where I was in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, just wasn't anything like that.
Oh yeah, here in Detroit, yeah, it's like the DJs are still around, and you bump into them like regularly, like they're just there, and for the most part, everybody's always been very like comfortable with showing the younger talent how to do things, and they'll even rib them, they'll rib them, like how wrestlers rib other wrestlers, DJs will rib other DJs and stuff just for fun and whatnot. But
yeah, of course.
There's definitely a rich like DJ record culture here in Detroit that has always been, at least between the actual DJs, has always been pretty tight knit and very helpful,
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's always been super cool. You can always there is resources here. There's always been to where, just at least the DJs themselves, it might not, go past that towards the whole music scene or whatnot as sort of generations of, musicians and artists and fans kind of go through the scene. But at least for the DJs themselves, it's always been pretty tight knit, and they sort of kind of take, younger talent under their wing.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, did you go to the Movement Festival?
This is the first year that I didn't go to the Movement. I've been there every year since like 2000. At least for the first maybe 5 or 6 years of it, I'd only go for they used to, for the first maybe 4 or 5 years, they would have one day that they would have all the hip hop stuff. And that was the day.
Okay.
That was the day that I would go. But then as maybe around 2004, 2005, I started going for the whole weekend, and because that was around 2004, 2005 is when I was expanding my horizons beyond just hip hop, and and then sort of getting myself into other forms of electronic music. And I would go there to actually see these big names DJ or do a live set or whatever for the first time, and that's what was so cool about it. This year. This was the first year that I didn't go. I just didn't feel like I needed. Actually, I just needed the time off because my whole month was super busy. So I just wanted to relax the whole weekend. But Movement Festival has always been a favorite of mine. It's my favorite time of the year, and it's so unique compared to the other festivals out there.
Yeah, it's definitely on my bucket list. So I hope one of these years I'm gonna actually get to go. Probably have to do that soon because the older I get, the patience I have to do a day-long festival is just wearing thin. I gotta tell you, man.
Dude, I'm there. I'm there, man. Last year I did a bunch of rock festivals and everything along with Movement, and then this year I was just I don't know if I want to do these rock festivals and everything. But the thing is, all the festivals that I've wanted to go to thus far this year have been plagued with rain and storms. And I'm
oh, wow.
And I'm kind of glad I didn't go because I'd probably leave there with pneumonia or some sort of fucking sickness and be sick for a week.
Yeah,
after
man.
that.
And dude, tickets to these festivals are getting expensive too.
Right.
You imagine you drop a few hundred on a ticket and then you get there and it just rains and storms the whole day. That sounds miserable. You know what I'm saying?
Right. How did you, when you started getting into actually producing music, how did you get into that? What were you using? What were some of your influences in the music that you were making?
So I had a pretty interesting story with the whole producing side of things. I started with Ableton Live. When I was in DJ school in DC, I had inquired to one of the DJs there, a guy named DJ Rags. I had asked Rags about producing, and he was like, well, to me, the most difficult platform to learn is Ableton. So as soon as he told me that was the most difficult, I'm like, challenge accepted.
Right.
So I went out and bought Ableton Live. Didn't even have the money to do it, but I was just so driven and hungry and enthusiastic about learning that I just went out and put that shit on my credit card, and I grabbed Ableton Live, and again, just like when I downloaded Fruity Loops as a teenager, overwhelmed. I looked at Ableton, I was like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. Rags showed me a little bit of things, still had no idea. And I didn't grow up in a musical household. I did not grow up playing piano or drums or whatever. I didn't have that growing up.
Right.
So it was even more overwhelming for me. Bro, you know how inexperienced I was? I didn't know the difference between a kick and a snare. That's how that's how low level I started. I didn't even know the difference.
Right.
So it was quite a journey for me. And I look back on it now and I'm like, damn, dude, when I started with Ableton, that was 2012. Here we are 5 years later, and I'm producing tracks like that one that I sent you with Conway. It's damn, we did that all in 5 years. We went from not knowing what a kick and a snare was to producing straight up hip hop tracks with rappers on the tracks. I'm pretty proud of that. You know what I'm saying? I think there's something to be said for that. If you really are hungry and want to learn how to do something, even if you got no experience. Like if you work hard enough and like devote yourself to it, like you can make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Ableton, bro. Like I learned Ableton inside and out. I eventually, I ended up going to school for Ableton as well. I jumped in with Dubspot, which was a electronic music school out in New York City, the one that my boy Subset had actually like learned everything from. So I jumped in at Dubspot, and they had an Ableton Live course, and it just really taught you the ins and outs of that program. You know what I'm saying? And I got into like making a little bit of like house music and stuff like that. But I started watching this series on YouTube. This was probably around like 2013, 2014. I started watching this series on YouTube called Rhythm Roulette. It's a mass appeal show on YouTube.
Yes,
I don't know if you've seen it before.
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
But like I started watching that and I got inspired. Because, like, I was just, like, again, like, I'm still learning how to use Ableton. I'm still learning how to, like, make music. But when I saw the Mass Appeal show, Rhythm Roulette, and the way these guys were flipping vinyl samples, that just, like, inspired me in some way. I was like, you know what, man? Like, maybe I should, like, focus more on hip-hop. Maybe that's, like, the route I should go. Because I like the idea of reimagining these samples, you know, giving them a second life, you know what I'm saying? Just flipping them and creating something totally new. And I'm like, let's be real. If I want to make like house music or whatever, like I don't know how to play piano. Like I don't know music theory. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not a musician. So I'm going to have like a real hard time, you know, making anything decent. But this idea of like sampling vinyl, making hip hop beats, which is like, to me, I was like, well, that's great. Cause like I've always loved hip hop. So man, when I started watching Rhythm Roulette, I was like, dude, maybe that's what I need to do. And it ended up being like exactly what I needed. I started sampling vinyl and having so much fun with it, man, making hip hop beats. And that's pretty much like what I've been focused on ever since, like 3-4 years now. And yeah, dude, we making beats all the time, man. Like Ableton's like a video game for me, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, dude, love to flip vinyl. I did some projects where like I would sample vinyl, but like make a whole track out of using only like samples from vinyl. Like I wasn't using the same like packs that everybody was using. I'm not using the Lex Luger drum kit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I saw it more as a challenge. Like, well, let's find like some samples for like off vinyl, for, like every part of the song. I'm going to find the kick from a vinyl record.
I mean, that's how we used to do it.
The hi-hat, like everything.
Yeah.
And like just for a challenge, you know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, that was like really fun for me. So like, yeah, dude, that's what we do now. Like sampling all day.
Definitely. Yeah. I've only been like, during my time in music, I've only been, you know, DJing. I never got into producing, but recently I did kind of get the itch to sort of learn something. So I did get me a Native Instruments Machine Micro. So I am like,
oh yeah,
I am in the middle of like learning how to use that. You know, I just got it recently, so I'm watching some tutorials and like just seeing how everything works on there. But it looks like this, like, and definitely with like a lot of technology, but with like the machine and the Machine Micro and like the interface on the computer, the program, it very much like, I feel like is very close to how I think about things. So that's why I kind of like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, man. So you got to find what works for you. There's so much like technology out there now, you know what I'm saying? There's so many devices, whether that's a machine, Ableton Push, like there's just so much out there. It's like, you know, you got to like find what works for you. Like I got an Ableton Push, but like that didn't really work for me, you know what I'm saying? Now, like, dude, what I use a lot of the time now is like a little like Novation like launch pad, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And that's what works for me, you know what I'm saying? So you just got to find like what you're comfortable with and like what helps you get the sounds in your head like out, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely. When you were young, you know, what sort of music were you listening to?
Dude, just a whole mess of stuff, man. Like, you want to hear something like crazy? Dude, I'll tell you a crazy ass story.
Okay.
The first CD I ever owned, you know, like, I hear like friends of mine, especially like music friends of mine, and they'll talk about like, yeah, the first like cassette tape they ever bought, first CD they ever bought. It's always something cool. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, always. These dudes are like, yeah, dude, Wu-Tang Clan, first, like, CD I ever bought, like, whatever it is. Like, and I'm like, man, I really wish I was as cool as y'all, because
I don't know, man.
CD that I ever bought, first CD I ever bought, and don't ask me why, because I couldn't tell you. I was a Waiting to Exhale soundtrack. That was the first CD I ever owned in my life. Why the hell would I buy that? I can't explain it. Like, that's embarrassing, bro.
Hey, you got to do you, man. You know, shit. Do you?
I think I was like 11. I think 11 years old, man, and I was jealous because, like, my neighbor, like, this dude, he was spoiled. He had a CD player, which, I mean, for me and my broke family, like, dude, CD player was like out of the question, you know?
Right.
Like, I was getting music by a cassette tape and hitting record on a radio station when I heard a song that I liked.
Yeah, that's how I used to do it.
Like,
yeah.
Like, that's how I was, like, getting music, because my mom was not able to afford, you know, CDs or a CD player.
Right.
But, yeah, dude, around age 11, I got lucky, and my mom finally got me a CD player, and I got to choose one CD, man, and I don't know why, but I chose the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack.
Hey.
But but as far as like music that I was into as a kid, dude, just a whole mess of stuff, man. Like when I think back to it now, it's like Eminem was definitely like a favorite of mine. I remember being 12 years old and getting the Marshall Mathers like LP, or the Slim Shady LP was the first one, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, 12 years old. That's, to this day, like, the only CD that my mom ever took away from me for, like, bad language and stuff like that. But that just that made me, like, want to listen to it more. You know, that made me a bigger fan. And but it wasn't just like hip hop stuff. Like, I was into everything, man. Like, I remember being 11, 12 years old, and I got into Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was like for like a similar reason, like because it was like so taboo. Like, I remember like friends of mine were like, yeah, we can't listen to Marilyn Manson. My mom said he worships the devil. And that made me want to listen to him more. So like, there's just something about like people that were like rebellious and like, stuff that I wasn't supposed to like listen to.
Right.
That made me want to listen to it even more. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, everyone from Eminem, Marilyn Manson, dude, even Insane Clown Posse. Actually, I remember like getting the Great Milenko when dude, do you remember Columbia House where you get like 12 CDs for like a penny or something like that? Bro, I discovered so much music as a kid because of that. Like, if the album cover looked interesting to me,
right,
I might get it. And that's what happened with like ICP when I was like 12 years old. I saw the Great Milenko on Columbia House. Didn't even know what it was, and I was like, yo, I like that cover, that artwork, and I got that, man. So like, yeah, I guess I grew up listening to a little bit of Detroit hip hop as well. But
yeah, I'm a big ICP fan. I don't care.
Ways.
I don't care. Anybody said I don't care. I don't care. I've been an ICP fan since like I was 12 years old. That was like 93, 94. I don't care. I'm a big ICP fan, and everybody knows.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, dude, they're still around today. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole Gathering of the Juggalos, like, it's incredible. Like, what they've created, that fan base, and the fact that, like, they're still going strong all these years later. You got to give them props for that, you know what I'm saying? But, dude, I was into No Limit Soldiers when I was a kid, like Master P, bro.
Oh, yeah.
That was another big one for me. Just so much, man. If it was, like, on MTV, if they were writing about it in, like, the Source magazine, like, I was probably going to check it out, man.
Right.
Like,
me too.
I had a subscription to the Source when I was a kid, so I found out about a lot of hip hop, you know what I'm saying, through the Source. Dude, Mace I was a big fan of Mace too. I remember that, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's funny. I remember, like, I had a poster of that dude on my wall, but yeah, like P. Diddy, Mace, like, there's times when, like, I forget, like, how influential, like, Bad Boy Records was to me as a kid. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't ever, like, think of them as, like, a favorite artist of mine growing up, like P. Diddy or Mace or whatever, but, like, when I think back to it, I'm like, no, man, like, I rocked with a lot of their records, and I bought a lot of those albums. Like,
Oh,
when I was a
definitely,
kid.
definitely. That's how
You know
Bad
what I'm
Boy
saying?
was. They were
Like,
that influential. They were influential in that way, where you don't realize they were influential, but they were mad influential to that generation and that era.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it's like I've come to realize that recently. I'm like, dude, like I was a big fan of like Puff Daddy back in the day, man. Like, I wanted a shiny suit so bad.
Hey, you got close with that globe thing that you wear on the way to the ring, so hey.
Oh, dude, wait till you see the new stuff I got coming out with. Like, when I get back from this injury, I've got a new like costume I'm gonna start wearing to the ring. Next level, bro. Like, nobody in wrestling's have anything like it. So stay tuned for that. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be like Daft Punk like meets Dead Mouse meets, I don't know, man. Just wait. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, right. And tell Impact they need to like market that shit, make some merch, make some masks, DJZ masks or some shit. I was telling our mutual friend
dude,
Wayne,
I'm
I was
waiting
like,
to get an action figure.
I was like, yo, get some merch. I want a DJZ mask, like the sequin ball, the glitter ball thing, man. I want a DJZ mask,
dude,
man.
just wait for the new one, man. Like the new mask I'm coming out with. If they were smart, they would make a mask to sell to people, because it's like, if you want a Halloween costume, wait till you see my new gear that I got coming. Like, that would be a great Halloween costume for real. So we'll see, man. Hopefully something like that happens.
Definitely. What music are you listening to these days?
Dude, a whole mess of stuff. Like, dude, I've been really into like Atlanta's trap scene the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Like Future, man. I listen to a lot of Future these days. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, if you look at my Spotify right now, it's quite a mess of just like hip hop. It's different areas. A lot of it is Atlanta though. Like a lot of the producers that I like I mean, TM88's probably like my favorite like producer out of Atlanta and that whole trap scene. I like what he does. So like, if it's his beats, I'm probably listening. You know what I'm saying? Like Mike Will Made It. Obviously, guys like Zaytoven. Like, I love Gucci. Like, I love Atlanta. Like, dude, I listen to Atlanta. Like, still. And it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe trap might be a little played out at this point. It's been going on for a couple of years, but I still love that sound. Like, that still makes my head nod. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, dude, Atlanta trap music for sure. What else have I been getting into? Like, yeah, dude, Conway, West Side Gun. Like,
Oh, I love those guys.
I'm a big fan of them. I was really happy to see that like they got picked up by Shady Records.
Oh, definitely.
Just because, like, man, like they bring back some of that grimy like grit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, reminds me of like gangster rap, like East Coast gangster rap, like Wu-Tang, like Mobb Deep from like the '90s. Like, I grew up listening to that stuff too, and like they're a throwback in many ways to that era. So. Yeah, dude, I love what they're doing, you know what I'm saying? So those guys for sure. Who else, man? Who else we've been listening to? Yeah, I'm mostly just like stuff that's popping out of Atlanta. I got to say that. Who's that dude? There's a guy that just came out. I just started listening to him. Like, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Like, I don't know if it's Triple X Temptation or if it's XXX Temptation. I don't know how to pronounce that dude's name.
Me neither. I don't even know too.
But I'm definitely rocking with like the stuff I heard from that dude. So he's one I'm probably gonna like be bumping here like on the regular. So yeah, dude, there's a whole mess of stuff, man. I try to keep up with like what's cool in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Don't want to lose that because it's been special to me.
Right. Yeah, you sent me this track that you did with Conway. Talk about more about how that came about.
Oh man, so like I started producing and making beats and like releasing some stuff here and there on SoundCloud, and you would think with the amount of followers that I have on Twitter that like I might get some plays, like there might be some interest. Bro, nobody gave a damn. Like, and that's frustrating because like I could post a picture of me doing a moonsault and that's getting all the likes, you know what I'm saying? But then I post a track that I spent a lot of time on and that I'm passionate about and that I worked hard making, this piece of art that like like genuinely I'm proud of, and nobody gives a damn about it. So I'm just like, dude, something's not right. Like, I wasn't making music like to get fans and to get attention. Like, I'm doing it for myself because it's what I enjoy doing. But
Right.
at the same time, you know, when you like put your heart and soul into something and there's like no response, like, yeah, it's kind of a bummer. You know what I'm saying? So I started thinking, I'm like, I gotta like do something that speaks to the wrestling fans. You know, I gotta like bridge like my two worlds, like music and wrestling, because it's obvious that like the wrestling fans, they only care about the stuff that I do when it's wrestling.
Right.
They don't really care about the music stuff. But maybe if I can combine the two somehow, then maybe people will like listen to my beats and fuck with my music a little more. So I was like, maybe let's just like start flipping old entrance themes and just like see how that works. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know about you. Actually, what is your favorite like entrance theme of all time?
Oh shoot.
You personally?
Oh man. Dude, that's a toughie, man.
Oh, give me like top three, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like, just name a couple. I know what my answer is, but I'm gonna hear yours.
Well, I know Stone Cold's is up there. That was always like a dope one. I'm probably gonna forget. You always had Stone Cold's. You always had the NWO theme, and then
classics. Yeah.
And then I always loved like let's go with it. Undertaker's theme. That was always something gives you chills. And yeah, definitely. Yeah, those probably maybe like my top three that stick out in my mind.
Hell yeah, man. So for me personally, my all-time favorite wrestling theme was Gangrel, The Brood. That's the jam.
Oh
like,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
So when I thought about, all right, let's start flipping wrestling themes for hip hop beats, the first one I'm trying to flip is my all-time favorite wrestling theme. I'm like, we're going with Gangrel. Like, we're flipping that. And I did a couple variations of it.
Yeah.
And the one I ended up sticking with is the one you hear on that beat for Yam. And I got a buddy out in Pittsburgh where I'm from. Well, now he lives in New York, but he's a rapper and producer. His name's Yuri. He's also on that track.
Yeah.
That dude's super talented. I hope that, you know, he starts catching on as well. He's out there in New York trying to make a name for himself. So props to him. He's chasing the dream. But yeah, dude, he's got a crazy story. He's a Eastern European kid from like Belarus. But yeah, he's living in Pittsburgh, but now he's in New York, and he's just totally like DIY, man. He makes his own beats, mixes and masters his own tracks. He raps. Dude, he does it all, man. He's a one-stop shop, and somebody that I think is really talented, and I got a lot of respect for. So, like, he's somebody that I would often like go to and be like, "Yo, man, what do you think of this beat?" Like, get his advice, you know, his 2 cents. Gave me some great suggestions for the Yam beat. Worked with me on it to make it better, and because I mean, again, music's expensive, bro. Like that dude, like, he's got better VSTs than me, man. Like,
right.
Let's be real. Like, I'm not the one to like go on a torrent site and get like bootleg versions of Massive or Serum or any like VST. I would rather just buy it and support, you know, the people that make it. That being said, some of those synths and VSTs are super expensive. So like, I can like do an 808 with what I got, but Yuri's got much better stuff than me. So I'll play him the melody. This is the sound that I want. Now use your VSTs to make it sound even better, because what I got ain't good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not for what I'm trying to get out there. So that's kind of what happened with Yam. Like, I say Yuri the beat, he made the bass knock a lot harder, and he did a verse, and then I hit up like one of my favorite rappers of today's generation, Conway, and I sent him the beat, and I was like, "Yo, man, if you're rocking with it, I'd really love to have you on the track." And we worked it out, man, and he murdered his verse, man. Just it's a grimy little banger, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's got like a theme to it too. If you listen to both of their verses, like what we're kind of talking about is just like kind of like the stress of like growing up, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure Conway, Yuri, and myself all like around the same age, late 20s, you know, about to be 30 at the time when we put that track out. So like both verses like kind of talk about that, like just how stressful and hard it is, you know, like growing up. I think like Conway's got a line on there in his verse where he says, not even 30 and got grays in my waves. And Yuri calls back to that in his verse and says, not even 30 and got gray hairs in the man bun. And it's like, dude,
Right.
like that's how it is though, man. Like it's hard, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know about you, but like I feel like high school and even college to an extent really did not prepare me for adult life.
Oh no,
And
right.
I felt like I had to learn all of that, like, you know, in the moment as things were happening. And it's like, you know, it's hard out here, man. It's stressful. And I think that's just kind of like what we talk about in that track a little bit, just the struggles of like adult life, you know?
Definitely. No, it's a dope track. I was just listening to it before we got on the call. So yeah, it was definitely cool to hear the whole story about that. Yeah, Conway's definitely one of my favorites these days, man. It's just like you were saying, it's such a throwback to the whole grimy era of East Coast hip hop, and like the dude can spit, and he has a.
Oh, and his story's crazy too, man. Like the way his voice sounds is insane because he got shot like multiple times and it paralyzed half of his face.
Right.
So he kind of talks like this, like a muffle.
Yeah.
Because like half the dude's face is legit paralyzed, man. And I just thought that was like an incredible story. Like he didn't let that slow him down, you know. Like that dude almost died, and he's still out here like chasing his dream, making things happen. And yo, like he found success. Him and his brother both. Like West Side Gun, man. Like Fly God, like that dude to me is like one of the coolest cats out there as well. Like I do hope in the future, like I can work something out and get him on a track, but I don't know. After that Shady Records deal, they might be out of my price range.
Oh, it's hard, man. Yeah, and those guys are wrestling fans too, man. All their countless wrestling references on their songs and everything.
And like honestly, that was how I found out about them. Like years ago, they dropped that like Hall and Nash mixtape.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I mean, obviously, like, yo, it's cool anytime a rapper like is gonna shout out pro wrestling. To me, like that's like the type of thing that like helps wrestling become cool. You know what I'm saying? It's
right.
Like that takes wrestling as this like nerdy thing that some people are like embarrassed to admit that they like. Yo, but when you see all these rappers, man, whether it's Conway and West Side Gun or Migos putting out a track called Scotty Too Hotty, it's like,
yeah,
you know, when you got like rappers, to me, like rappers are always like going to be like the coolest dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like they're almost like the ambassadors of what's cool.
Yeah.
Like, and when they say pro wrestling's cool, it's like, to me, it makes wrestling look cool to like the public. You know what I'm saying? So anytime a rapper's like dropping some sort of wrestling reference in their track, in their album, whatever it may be, like I'm gonna listen just out of curiosity. So years ago, man, I started rocking with that Hall and Nash mixtape, and I loved it, like nonstop listening to it. And I've just been a fan of their work ever since.
Definitely. All right, man, this has been great talking with you. Thanks for talking with me for the past hour about wrestling and music and stuff. Where can people find you online if they want to follow you or buy some merch or anything in regards to DJ Z?
Hell yeah! So follow me Instagram, Twitter at I am DJ Z. You can find everything you need to know on there. Like I got Pro Wrestling Tees store, Pro Wrestling Tees. Look up Zema Ion, ZEMA. ION, and do check out my YouTube show I started doing. I haven't made any new episodes since I'm hurt and not on the road wrestling, but fake fights and missed flights, man, that's my little like vlog that I started doing on YouTube. Trying to get some more eyes on that. So yeah, check that out. And the music as well, SoundCloud at I am DJ Z. I'll be releasing some more stuff. I got some more projects I'm like gonna drop here in the near future, so be on the lookout for me.
Great, man. It's been great talking with you. I'm glad you're feeling better. Can't wait to see you back in the ring. Good luck with everything.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. You have a good day.
Dude, you too, man. Thank you. I really appreciate the interview. Good talking to you.
All right, man. Hopefully I'll see you at some sort of wrestling event somewhere in the near future.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I don't know when I'll be back in Detroit. I did some stuff with XICW like a couple years ago.
Right.
I'd love to get back and do some stuff with them. So we'll see, man. Like, hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, sometimes I make it out to some of the other things in the Midwest, like AIW or AAW, stuff like that. I've been.
Oh, dude, let me know, man. I'm usually on like all the AIW and AAW shows nowadays.
Right.
So when I heal, like, I'll definitely be out there. So yeah, dude, please let me know, man. Would love to meet you.
Definitely, definitely. All right, man. You have a good day.
You too, man. Take care.
All right, peace. Okay, that was my interview with DJZ. He really shared a lot of great stories. It was great to hear that he's doing well and his update on his injuries. So let's get to the Beats and Body Slams discussion part of the show. And joining me is comic book and anime fan and Detroit hip hop artist, 1/4 of Clear Soul Forces, the Noveliss. How you doing, man?
Yo, what's up, man? I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Oh, man, I'm awesome, man. I'm awesome. Man, I know you're happy, man. I know you're happy because your boy, Kushida, won the Best of the Super Juniors tournament in New Japan Pro Wrestling. How you feel about that?
Hell. Hell yeah, man. It's crazy because I actually called him to win it too. Like before it started, because he lost. You know, he lost the belt to Takahashi at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
And then he had kind of, he kind of had lost a couple matches, and I just thought, and then like he won the Ring of Honor television title right before, so I just just thought it would be dope to see him like just come out of nowhere and win it, and he just won it 2015, so
yeah,
it's dope to see him win it again, and the last match was crazy too, so I'm glad. I was super hyped when he won, and he actually made a dog ass comeback too, man, because he started off and lost like a few matches in a row, and then he made like this crazy comeback and won that shit, so it was dope.
Yeah, man, that finals match against Will Ospreay was that shit was dope, man. That was a really good match.
Yeah, that final match was nuts, man. Like it's one of the best matches of the year to me. I don't know what Meltzer's gonna rate it, but to me it was 5 stars. But like, I always think it's way different if you see the match live instead of, you know what I'm saying? If you see the match live instead of seeing it when people tell you how good it is and that you should go watch it, because then when you watch it like that, you're kind of like expecting things, and then sometimes it don't. You know what I mean? Like I saw the Omega Okada fight live. You know what I'm saying? So like when everybody was saying it's like the greatest wrestling match, I was like, it's one of the best matches I've ever seen. Like I was down, but I feel like people who heard that and then watched it, they didn't really get the same. They don't get the same reaction as if you were to watch it live.
Right. And the crazy thing is with like some of these matches, that involve someone like Ospreay and Kushida and everything, people will, might bitch and complain about like all the flips and shit like that. But there's a lot of good wrestling moves that actually go on, like actual headlocks and shit like that, that go on in these matches.
I just think people, I don't understand how you could not like that. Like, I think Will Ospreay is super talented. Like, him and Ricochet have these, like, crazy-ass matches, and it's like, if you're a fan of wrestling, I really don't understand how you could not appreciate that, because it's like, it's just some stuff that not everybody can do, and I think that just bothers some people, because it's not something that maybe their favorite wrestler can do, so they're like, oh, that shit's stupid, Right.
I always kind of look at it as like, that's some like superhero shit, man. If you're
I was just about to say that, like, you watch these guys fight, and one thing I love is, when Ospreay and Kushida and Ospreay did it too, like, they do their crazy sequences, and then they do the thing where they do the handspring off the ropes, and then they hit the backflip, and they just kind of kneel down on one knee, and they just look at each other. Right. And the crowd goes crazy. Like, I love that shit. It's like literally like two superheroes like fighting each other. It's like, this shit's crazy.
Right. And with that win at the Super Juniors, Kushida gets his rematch basically against Hiromu Takahashi from Los Ingobernables de Japan at the upcoming Dominion events for New Japan Pro Wrestling on June 11th. And that's already stacking to be a really dope event.
Oh yeah, I want him to win that. Obviously, he's one of my favorite wrestlers in the world, and I really think that this is like Kenny Omega's time to finally win the championship too. So
yeah, we get the rematch between.
It's going to be a big night.
Yeah, we get the rematch between Kenny Omega and Kuchika Okada. After one of the best matches ever at Wrestle Kingdom, and I think this could be Kenny Omega's time, man. Like he needs he's had such a crazy body of work in Japan, ranging from like the
last 2 years.
Yeah, his work the past 2 years has been crazy, and then his body of work in Japan has ranged from the most ridiculous shit ever, with with fighting with Kota Ibushi in the forest and shit. To like having like one of the best matches like of all time. The past couple years, he definitely stepped up to be one of the greats in New Japan, and he'll go down as one of the greatest wrestlers in Japan of all time, I think.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm a big Kenny Omega fan. I've seen him go from, doing the funny shit, you know what I'm saying? So but I love Kenny Omega because he's a wrestler, man. He's a professional wrestler. He's not like, he's not one of these guys that cares about being like a brand and all this bullshit. Like the guy is a character, you know what I'm saying? Like
right.
I just love watching him in the ring. He just does things that other people just don't do. Like I've never seen somebody sell the Rainmaker like him, ever.
Right.
Like, and I'm not the biggest fan of the Rainmaker, but when he takes it, it looks like he like dies. You know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of hit him with like a couple of Rainmakers in that match at Wrestle Kingdom, and it looks like he kills him. He killed him like 3 times. It's like he's just incredible. Like little small shit too. Like when you watch Kenny Omega get whipped into a turnbuckle, it's like he actually looks like he got thrown into it. Like some people just kind of run to it and they turn around. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you watch Kenny Omega get thrown into a turnbuckle and it looks like somebody actually full force threw him into it, and he like isn't in control of what's happening. Like he just does little small stuff like that. Like he's a really good wrestler.
Yeah, it's incredible the way he sells things, but then he always mixes in his weird character with that. Like what I loved at the Super Juniors finals is like he tagged with Marty Scurll.
Marty.
Those two together are so hilarious because they're both goofy as fuck, and like I'm just sitting there, I'm like, these two are just like their cockiness during that match was so hilarious. I'm like I love seeing these guys together. I love seeing these guys together, man. Like,
right. Marty was definitely a good pick for Bullet Club for sure.
Oh yeah, I was a fan of his before, but now he's a part of the Bullet Club. Like, I love that guy. He's like my favorite in Ring of Honor right now. He has such a great gimmick. I love his entrance music. I love everything about him, man. It's so hilarious. I love the umbrella. I really want a Bullet Club umbrella. I hope they start selling those, man. We need those. And all of his matches, like I watched a lot of his matches during the whole Super Juniors, and a lot of those matches were really fun to watch with him.
Yeah, Marty is. It took me a while. He's grown on me. I'm not like the biggest Marty fan, but I do. Like, just because I'm not a fan of somebody doesn't mean I don't like appreciate. I think he's a good wrestler. I think his character is awesome. Like I appreciate him, man. Everything that he does. He's definitely like super talented to do, and he's had a big year too, man. Like he won last year, won Battle of Los Angeles. Now he's He was Ring of Honor Television Champion. He debuted in Japan. So, I always look at. I'm a huge fan of New Japan, and I have been for like a really long time. So, I always look at when an indie guy is in New Japan. Like, I feel like that's like the stamp of approval. Like this, you know what I'm saying? Like this guy he's the real deal and shit. Like that's why I love seeing Ospreay, succeed over there. They love him. They love him in Japan.
Yeah.
So I like seeing him succeed over there. I love seeing Sabre Jr. join Suzuki Gun. That was dope.
That was dope. That was dope.
I love seeing those indie guys hit it up in Japan. It's dope.
Right. No, I noticed this on one of the days of the Super Juniors, and it was so hilarious to me. Is that the women in the audience just love all the Los Ingobernables guys. Like when they come out, man.
You hear them screaming. You can hear them screaming their names and shit. It's so funny.
It was crazy, man. I was like, holy shit! I'm just like looking, like they're in Kirkin Hall, and it's just like, whoa, man. They're panning out to the crowd and everything, and the women were just like,
yeah, they do.
They love Sonata. They love Bushi. They love Nato, man. I was like.
Yeah, that's funny. You ever seen that? I haven't seen them, but there's always that. You ever seen that little boy that always has the Bushi mask on?
Yeah, I think yes. Yeah, I did see him. Yeah.
I love that little kid, man. That kid crashed me up. Yeah, I'm a fan of them too, man. I think Naito's going a little crazy with trashing the belt, but
it's a funny thing though, man, because he keeps on saying that he wants that title dissolved. So he's gonna just beat it up and everything. And it's like it's broken now and everything.
He actually literally broke it. Like he broke a plate off of that bitch. Like that's unbelievable.
Oh my god, it's incredible, man. So I'm wondering where they're going with that, but like at Dominion, Hiroshi Tanahashi has come back from his little injury that he's had, and he's gonna be challenging for the Intercontinental title against Naito. So that's gonna be a dope match. We already know because Tanahashi's always brings it, and he's been one of the greatest.
That's gonna be
greatest
that's
guys.
That's gonna be a good one for sure.
That's gonna be a good one.
I really wish. I'm a big fan of Kota Ibushi. Playing the Tiger Mask W character. I wish they would do more with him. He actually had a really good match with Okada at oh man, I can't remember what it was. It might have been I don't know, man. It was at the anniversary the show that they do. And Tiger Mask Ibushi had like a really good match with Okada. I just wish they would do more with him.
I think Kota Ibushi just likes kind of like
he likes just doing whatever the fuck he wants to do.
He likes just being free, like doing the weird shit.
He is, man. That dude is crazy as hell.
Right, man. Like last time I saw him, like a few months ago, he was lighting fireworks off at people.
Shooting the damn fireworks off his chest outside, standing on top of a damn car. I saw that video. I was like, what the hell? That dude is crazy as fuck.
Like, oh.
Yeah, and I mean...
Like, he's crazy, like, man, like, but he just likes kind of doing his own little weird shit, so...
Right.
And I guess he's fine with it, man. I don't know, he must live well, man, just to, be able to do all that, man.
Do whatever he wants.
And,
sure.
And also at a Dominion coming up, they have the Never Openweight title match with Minoru Suzuki versus Hiroki Goto. Speaking of Suzuki, man, did you happen to see that empty Tokyo Dome match?
Yeah, I watched that shit.
For DDT?
That shit was crazy as hell.
I was laughing my ass off because it was just every once in a while, just the most random shit, person would come up.
Right.
For no reason.
That shit was hilarious.
The funniest part, they were in that stairwell, and that fat guy came up, and I can't even get it out right now because it was so hilarious. He started super
awkward, man.
He started pushing Suzuki, and he wouldn't even turn around. He started pushing him
was,
again. Wouldn't even turn around.
That shit was definitely funny as hell. Suzuki was, you know, and I like, it's just, man, I just miss Shibata so much, man. Like, he's one of my favorite wrestlers in the world, too.
Man.
And I really wish,
right.
For a long time, I was hoping that it was an angle, you know what I'm saying, that it was a work. But, like, now I'm pretty sure that he's, like, might not ever wrestle again, and that's, like, sad.
Man, I was always scared of that, man, with him, man, because...
Dude, I don't know why he... Like, literally, bro, and I love his style. Like, I've been a fan of his for, like, years, but I can't even watch him headbutt people. Like, I look away. This shit is, like, disturbing. You know what I'm saying?
Right, man. Those headbutts always scared the shit out of me. I was like, dude.
Yeah, and because it's not even like a head on nose. It's like a skull on skull headbutt. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, this shit is just ridiculously dangerous, man. Like, and I miss him because I feel like the never open weight scene is kind of missing something now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I like Suzuki. I would actually like for somebody like, you know, maybe Sabre Jr. or somebody get in there and get that belt. I do think. Did you see that they're doing the United States title thing now?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool. Jay Lethal's one of my favorite wrestlers. I'd love to see him like wrestle in Japan more. So that would
they're going to be doing that 2-day event out in Long Beach, California.
Yeah, I wish I could go to this.
And there's been Japanese companies that's tried this before, but the problem was they'd always send like their second string talent and not everybody.
Exactly.
And it wouldn't be the people that people actually wanted to see. But for this, they're actually, you know, bringing the people that people want to see. And this is going to be the first time that Kenny Omega is going to be
has been in the States in a
long time, you know. So that's big just with that, you know. Because only time he's been in North America is to do the Canadian dates. And
he's usually not here ever.
Right, you know.
That's dope, man.
And every time Ring of Honor comes around here, I'm always like kicking myself. I'm like, I should have went to the Toronto date, man. I should have went to the Toronto date. Kenny was there.
See, that's what I did, man. Like this year, I didn't even think about it. I went to the I went to the one that was here, but I really should have just went to Toronto and I kind of felt like the card. I was looking at all the cards for War of the Worlds, and I just felt like the Michigan one was like the shittiest one.
They always do that. They always do that to us, man.
And
like
it's whack. Like, and it had everybody that I wanted to see was on the card, but it was just the matches. It was a lot of tag matches. Like Jay Lethal versus Kushida was at, I think, Philly maybe, and it's like. Damn, those are two of my favorite wrestlers in the fucking world. I would have, freaked out if I would have got to see them fight each other. But instead, we get Jay Lethal and Tanahashi versus, Ray Rowe and Hanson. It's like, that's dope. But it was like, it would have been so much better to see, those guys in one-on-one,
Yeah, we never get the actual...
fight Tanahashi, and then he teamed up with him instead.
Yeah, we never actually get the cool, actual matches here for ROH.
Right.
It's always sort of like the.
We got a dog ass main event though, but that was really it.
Yeah.
Like the tag with it was who was that? It was Ospreay. It was Chaos pretty much versus. Bullet Club, that match was sweet.
Right, yeah, they always kind of, the past few ones that I've been to, they always had, really cool, Bullet Club sort of themed, oriented, main events, and those were always cool with that, but aside from that, yeah, sometimes we get those, tour, the tour-oriented matches throughout the card, the road to whatever, where they just kind of, it's like just a random shakeup of everything.
Yeah, and I'm not really a huge. I'm not really a huge fan of those kinds of matches of like 50-man tag matches. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like, and then it was like, man, we got Naito, and Naito fought Punishment Martinez. Like, that match was actually really good, but
Right.
it's just like, man, you could have had Naito and like Bobby Fish, or you know what I'm saying? You could have had. So I just think they could have did some better matchups, but whatever, man.
Yeah. Coming up at Dominion also, both of the IWGP tag belts will be on the line. Beretta and Rocky Romero, Roppongi Vice, the champs for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight, they're going against the Young Bucks. And then the IWGP Tag Team champs, the War Machine, will be going against Guerrillas of Destiny. Those should be fun. I always like seeing War Machine. To me, they're a fun tag team.
I love War Machine, man. I've seen Ray Rowe live a couple times at AIW in Ohio. He's a good wrestler, man. So I like seeing them. Like I said, I like seeing the indie guys succeed in Japan. I think it's dope. No, but I do want to see the Young Bucks get the belts back, though. I'm a big Young Bucks fan.
I somehow, I don't, this will never happen anytime soon just because the way things are with WWE and everything. But I wish, we could, they could get, a weekend pass or something. So I want to see the Revival go against War Machine.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
I want to see those two tag teams go against each other, man. Revival versus War Machine. I think that would be such a fun.
That would be a really good match.
That'd be such a fun tag team, man. And it's funny that on the Being the Elite show that the Young Bucks do, that Cody Rhodes is always doing the fuck the Revival thing.
Revival shit. Yeah, that's just funny, man. And I like watching that shit because I just like seeing people, outside of, it's just like you see a rapper or something that you like, doing regular shit. But I really want to see Young Bucks versus Revival too. I think that would be a good ass match too. Revival is they're a really good tag team, man. So it would be dope to see them. But I still think Young Bucks are the best in the world, though. Right.
And let me see, if you agree with this, especially at the last ROH show, when you see Cody Rhodes live in person, he has such a big personality about him. I always when he's in the ring, it's you're like, oh shit. It's he has such a big there's such that Rhodes family aura that's around them all,
Definitely.
That and I'm glad to see the stuff that he's doing now, because WWE just totally dropped the ball constantly with him, and I love.
They did, man, and but I like him ever since he started, doing the heel thing. I think that's really put him over to, as a top player and ring runner, because when he first hit the Indies, he was pretty much doing the babyface thing, trying to gain the respect on the indie scene and shit, because he pretty much he's wrestling royalty. He came from the Rose family, so this is his first time, grinding it out on some indie shit, and I think he's doing a really good job. So.
Definitely.
He definitely has that family personality.
Cool. All right, before we wind down this segment, there's something I wanted to ask you, and this is something I'm going to ask you every time we do this segment, but maybe in future segments we might have more time to talk about it. But the Noveliss, let me ask you this: what are the current comic books or anime that you are currently viewing these days?
All right. Current stuff. Anime currently. watching Dragon Ball Super, obviously. My Hero Academia is another show that I'm really into. It's the newer shonen anime. Love that one. And I'm watching Mobile Suit Gundam, Iron Blooded Orphans. That's the three animes that I'm watching right now. Comic wise, I'm reading the Darth Maul series. It's actually done by Marvel, and its shit is like, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and
Right.
it just kind of tells the story of what Maul was kind of getting into before episode 1. So it's really dope, man. Like it's dope as hell, and I'm reading that, and the newest Iron Fist series that came out is way better than like years and years ago. There was the Immortal Iron Fist, which was the best Iron Fist like series ever. It's pretty old. It came out like maybe 2010, something like that. I can't remember exactly when it came out, but
Yeah.
this is the one that's out now. It's only like a couple issues in, and it's the best one that's came out since. It's like, you know, they didn't try to do too much. It just takes on like the classic Kung Fu tournament, kind of has that like Game of Death, Bruce Lee vibe. So that one is it's dope. So those are the 2 comic book series that I'm reading right now.
Word. Yeah, I'm not currently viewing any anime series, but I have been picking up some comic books recently. I really do like I've always kind of I kind of go in and out with comics, but I always
Right.
kind of like those like grim fairy tale ones, like
Oh
Wonderland.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
And stuff like that. So I'll pick up like some of those. But what I just started reading is like there's a new Elektra series
Okay.
that they just started. There's like there's 4 issues that they've done already. I've gotten the first 2. And so pretty dope thus far. I kind of like all the Daredevil and Elektra type stuff. So
Yeah.
I try to
Yeah.
go ahead and read.
Daredevil and Elektra are dope.
Yeah, I try to read a lot of those. I've been kind of going back, and I read like a few like things from back in the 80s and shit like that.
Right.
But yeah, this new series they just came out, it's pretty dope. So I'm continuing to read that. And yeah, that's about it for right now. But yeah, I always check out those like grim fairy tale ones. Those are always kind of interesting to me.
Yes, sir. Those stuff's good, man. Like you said, reading stuff from the 80s and stuff is always dope, because, you know, most of the time that's the source material for like the shows and the movies that we're getting now.
Yeah.
You know, so it's always dope to see how it was originally.
Right. All right, Noveliss, it's been good talking with you. Where can people find your stuff online?
Yo, you can follow me on Twitter, man, at the Noveliss, THENOVELISS. Facebook, Noveliss, and you can get all my music and download all my stuff on noveliss.bandcamp.com. Just put out a new EP called Dylan Instinct, so check that out, man.
Cool, man. Thanks for chatting with me this week. Have a nice day, and see you soon.
All right, brother.
Fresh is the word.